Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our live streaming snug here at Epic headquarters in North Carolina. My name is Ben Marsh. I'm an engineer, as you can probably guess by my mock plaid shirt. We've got an awful lot to talk about today. I'm joined by
Francois, Antoine. I'm an FX artist here at Epic. And what I'm working on, well, I can't talk about it. It's unannounced, but it's some cool stuff. Today, I'm going to take you over some of the goodies on the art side that we have to show with our new release.
So my main involvement with that you might be interested in is that I have been, since I started here at Epic about 6 months ago, I've been working on the actual sort of product that you're using now, packaging it up and making it so that we can ship it and filling in all the gaps which are left between our editor team and platform team and all those sort of things, just to make it so that we can ship out UE4 to you. So today, obviously, is a very big day. We have our 4.1 release. Hopefully, some of you guys have seen that and checked it out already. There is an awfully long blog post with lots and lots of cool stuff that we've got into this release. There's actually like an absolute ton of stuff, and just reading through that, I wouldn't be surprised if people were still going through it now. But so I thought I'd go over some of the main points of this release. One of the big things, in fact, our big surprise announcement, which probably you've heard of by now, is that we have full support for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One in the engine. You still have to be registered with Sony and Microsoft to be able to get that. That's a legal requirement. We can't get around it. And it's tied to our GitHub build at the moment. But we do support the same way as we support workflows for working on iOS and Android. You can do all that stuff from the editor. You can build your game on PC or Mac and push it to the console at any time. Try it out, debug it on console. Full source is there. There's nothing extra that you have to pay to get that support. You just need the permission from Sony and Microsoft to get that. So Josh Adams put a big blog post up explaining the steps you need to go through to get that, but hopefully some of you will take up on that, and yeah, very exciting, democratizing it a little bit.
Yeah, so Ben, I heard rumors that all the Xbox Ones had the ability to be turned into dev kits if Microsoft wanted to do that.
Is that true?
I heard a rumor.
I don't know.
We'll see. Maybe that could be a cool thing that, if that became available to people.
Yeah. I know with the 360 they were strongly pushing their sort of C# development environment. I don't really know how it goes on Xbox One, but
yeah, I guess we'll find out.
I'm not the expert on that, but yeah. Okay.
Well, cheers to the release.
Absolutely. Cheers to release. It's just water.
Who knows what is in there? I don't know. Jason got it for us. Who knows?
So the other important bit about that announcement is that. Obviously, at Epic, we haven't shipped anything on PS4 or Xbox One yet, so we want to make sure that it's totally feasible to do so. So we took one of our samples, shoot a game, and we have sent that through the certification process that you have to go through with both console manufacturers, Sony and Microsoft, just to make sure we've got any of the technical kinks ironed out. Just to make sure that there's nothing in the engine that is a blocker for you to be able to ship on that on those platforms, and they've both passed. So there's a lot of work that went into that, and I should probably give a big call out to Josh Adams and the platform teams like Marcus Fassmer and Jeff Campo, I think, who've been working mainly on the PS4 and Xbox One. But yeah, that was a big push, and yeah, hopefully you can make good use of that. Very exciting times.
There's a lot of platforms now we support, right?
There's
some that we can't quite talk about, but we'll keep working on. I've seen some of the demos. We keep working on every single platform that's pretty much coming out there nowadays. So I'm sure lots of more surprises for you guys.
The one that surprises me the most, I don't know whether you've seen it, is the HTML5 support.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's incredible that you can get a game which is designed for a mobile game or even a PC game, and you can run it in a browser, and it runs maybe, I don't know, 50% of the regular speed, but it's fully playable, fully interactive and stuff like that, and it works on.
It's amazing. Yeah. Some of the devices we're going to be on, I saw, are pretty amazing in terms of how much power and how well the engine runs on them, even though they're not necessarily kind of high horsepower devices. So.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, mobile devices especially are getting a lot more powerful nowadays. So it's it's going to be interesting to see how they catch up with desktop platforms over the next few years.
Yeah. Not much time left before that happens, I bet.
So yeah, HTML5 support is it's still early, but it's in the 4.1 release. I think that in the 4.2 release, that's going to be a lot more polished and ready for prime time. We have made a few more fixes to it since we branched off to make the 4.1 build, and it's looking pretty good at the moment. So so we're fingers crossed that 4.2 that might be more accessible to everybody. Also in this release, we have much improved Steam OS and Linux support. The way we do that at the moment is by cross-compiling from Windows. So the idea is that like you use UE4, you can develop on Windows or Mac, like your main
platform,
sort of, your editor platform. Yeah. And then from that you can push it out to any of the mobile devices, HTML5, or Linux as another target platform.
So I bet you're going to have lots of questions. When is the editor coming to Linux?
There is a big community effort working on that at the moment. It's pretty amazing to see. I'd love to see it if we do manage to get the editor working on Linux, but there's an awful lot of work there.
Well, you guys keep asking for it then, and hopefully we can find the time to do it if it's not already being done right now.
Oh, I think Dmitry Reckman, who's leading the charge on that, is probably cursing your name right now, over-promising for what he's going to do. But I think the sort of community effort is like going like full guns on getting it building natively on Linux, so you don't have to cross-compile it. Kind of from our point of view, like because we want to develop like cross-platform games as much as possible, then having like being able to deploy sort of from like Windows or Mac is like more useful for us. But I know that Dmitry's been working on that as well, and it is something that we want to get working well, and I'm sure that'd be useful to you guys as well.
Fingers crossed.
So fingers crossed, yeah. Like it's one of the amazing things.
It's been talked about.
It's certainly been talked about, yeah. One of the amazing things that's come out of this public release, like releasing the source code, is just seeing other people getting their hands on it and being able to turn it into something else, and stuff which has kind of been on our radar for a long time, but we haven't had the manpower to put all the effort into like getting it polished and shipping. Then I don't know, like the speed it's going at the moment. Hopefully,
we've had some cool stuff integrated into our build too, right?
I saw totally.
That there was like an inverse IK system that got put in.
The fabric system?
Yeah, exactly, which is pretty awesome. I started playing with it a little bit, it's exciting to have other people put stuff in. I mean, that's why like distributing the source code was such a good thing. It's not necessarily so we can share, so that other people can share back with us too,
Right, totally.
And with the community as well. So I'm just excited just to see the requests coming in and see what's been added to the source. So it's stuff I can experiment with, play with, and see how it can help us do a better job on our games as well.
Yeah, there's actually a group of people who are working on sort of keeping up with those pull requests that are coming in on GitHub and trying to get through them as quickly as we can do, and sort of dispatching them to the right engineers in the company to get them in as soon as possible. So if we're a bit slow on that and we're not being as responsive as we should be, then please bear with us. We are sort of doing our best with it. We're trying to get like the process a lot slicker, and hopefully soon it will be. But I think like even for our 4.1 release, we have something like 20 user contributions in there, and there's more than that. But yeah, and there's like a load more which are in our main development branch at the moment, which should make it into our 4.2 release. So yeah, keep them coming. It's quite exciting. So yes, SteamOS and Linux support. We have that in the 4.1 release. We have support for the Steam controller in that. If anybody can get their hands on a Steam controller or a Steam box, then
not at Best Buy.
That's a lot of fun too. Certainly not. That's a lot of fun to have a play around with. So you can drop the Steamworks libraries into that and build against it. What else do I have? Yeah, like in general, the amount of stuff that's been coming through on GitHub has been really impressive. It's something that we've talked about in the past about like how to make it so that it's easier to work with the source code. Like I think we've had something like 3,000 forks of it on GitHub so far, which is a huge number, right? Like I think the Linux kernel is like 5,000 or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So there's a lot of people who are really interested in getting full source access, and we're kind of expecting at launch that it was going to be like 5%, maybe like the really hardcore crowd would give it a go. But it seems like everybody wants to get the full source code play with it. So we're going to work on like ways of making that easier to do and more streamlined with the launcher and the marketplace and stuff like that.
I'm actually excited to see also the experimental features that people might put into the engine.
Yeah.
Stuff that like R&D, it's something that's hard for companies to justify, but that individuals who have, a very specialized but deep experience in some areas might be able to add that to the engine, something that a larger company may never have the ability to justify spending money on, So I'm also looking forward to just kind of toying with these kind of new features and concepts that are not mainstream but could add potentially that may be still a bit raw but still have something that could contribute to the rest of the users, you know. So that's also what's cool.
I think in general, like the democratization that's gone on in the games industry over the last few years, with more and more like indie games coming out which don't necessarily fit into the mold that a big publisher would like finance and work on. Those sort of things lead to a lot of interesting like tech that comes along with it, right? I hope that like through what we're doing now, then like Unreal can be like a little bit positioned at the center of that. Like there's people can take a lot of the stock stuff that we provide and then add in all this extra cool stuff on top of it. Which would be nice.
Just like Andrew Scheidecker did with his super cool like Minecraft style voxel terrain. I don't know if you got a chance to see it.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's a plugin he added, and you can download it actually as well. And you have to recompile, I think, because I think it's for, actually now that you have 4.1 out, I think you could use that for it. And so you can do like Minecraft style terrain and have the voxels, for water and the ground and rock and all that stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
No, I'll have to check that out. As I say, like on the blog, there's like a giant list of changes. I think it, like even sort of within the studio, it's sort of blown everybody away, like how much stuff that we've actually done in the last month. So go and check that out, and there'll be lots more of that to come. Should we go through some of the content stuff that's in the new
Cool,
release?
Yeah, sure. All right, so what we got? All right, there we go. So let me get on here. All right, so we were going to look at the Elemental demo. Here you go, guys. All right, so there you go. So that's the Elemental demo. You probably noticed that when we first released it in 2012, the Elemental demo stopped when the knight came out of his castle. And this is the full thing. So we added the PlayStation 4 extended demo to the PC here. So that's what you guys are going to be getting as a sample. So, you know, a bit of a backstory. This was, like I said, in 2012. The engine was just in its early development days. So a lot of features that we had in UE3 were still being implemented in UE4, and it was the beginning of next gen. So this demo was not done with physically based rendering, for example, but we did port it over to physically based rendering. And then it had a different lighting system. It was using also Svogi, which I don't know if you had heard about, which was like a voxelized lighting system. So we updated that and ported it to Lightmass, which is the system that we use now. Svogi was a dynamic GI system. So there's been some tweaks, and we've also rescaled it so that it fits, you know, into our existing scale for all our other sample games, so that it's easy for you guys to reuse assets and particle systems and add that to your own games, or just if you want to look at them. So it's pretty cool. We're glad to be able to share this with you. So I thought that to make it a bit more interesting, I'd also show a bit of kind of some behind the scenes of how this was done. Now we just have a little bit of time, so I got a few things I'm going to pull up. But for example, we had a bit of concept art here, so I'm going to pull that up for you. You'll be able to see. So this was some concept art for the Ice Giant at the end. So on tech demos, usually we don't have a lot of time up front, so we kind of jump in real fast to doing the production work, because it's in big part to test the engine features. So, you know, we threw some quick art for example, the Ice Giant that you see here. This was a kind of a animatic layout prototype for how the lava was going to flow in the throne room. Some of the kind of the concept art for the Lava Knight. You know, early designs, how the lava and the lighting was going to be in the cave. You know, and there's the Shane Cottle, who's our principal artist, worked on the flowing lava. So these are some paint overs that he had done, tried to get approval from the art director on how things were going to look. So yeah, so that has never been shown before, so just little things that I thought would be a good bonus to give you guys. I'm going to show you some of the lava flow development videos, so I'm just going to take a few minutes to do that. So, you know, in the beginning, this was like kind of lava development and how proof of concept, you know, how is it going to work, what's it going to look like, how are the shaders going to be implemented so we can get that kind of a cracking, cooling rock surface on top. So some pretty fun stuff here. This is, again, Shane Cottle doing a flowing lava test. So this was the first one where it was kind of like pouring down, and, you know, this is in anticipation of doing the throne room lava. The frame rate comes from it's filmed on a camera phone, so I apologize for that. So we got some kind of cool stuff. We had some dried lava test here. This was like kind of modeling that and figuring out if we can use that for the displacement on the surface. And then you'll see kind of a final actually this is close to final picture of the lava flow, and here's kind of a movie of it in action. So this was not quite final, but it was getting there. We're getting that nice flowing motion. This is entirely, so there's no fluid simulation happening here. It's all done with displacement materials on meshes, and some of the meshes are all just static meshes with animated materials. Some of them are actually skeletal meshes, you know, so they deforms. They deform.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so it's amazing to be able to achieve something that looks so fluid.
Yeah,
liquidy,
totally, yeah.
It's all just meshes. Pretty cool, I thought. And then for some of the lava flow that kind of comes down the hill, you can see this is seen in Max. You could see how the lava is actually kind of a long stretched out geometry being deformed along the path of the lava. And because it's basically vertex animation, and to export that, we export as a skeletal mesh with a joint for each vert, and it's played back. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah. So those are kind of some of the cool techniques you guys are going to be able to kind of look at with this content, go behind the scenes, load up the assets, and see how things were done, which is pretty exciting. And then another thing you'll see that was new at the time was, for this demo actually, was the GPU particles was putting for this demo, as well as the velocity grid system that allows to give a very organic feeling motion to the particles. So
yeah,
this
those
was,
particles really stand out, like on the eyes and stuff like that as well. You really
yeah, and it was the first time we actually got that in the engine, and it was developed for this demo, so we were pretty excited at the time. We've been using it ever since, and I hear a whole bunch of, yeah, pretty much most FX guys are using the techniques right there. So this is showing like the velocity field moving around the particles, once rotating, once static. So you can actually layer up different noises on top of the particles. So, and this is the kind of result you get. So anyway, I think you guys will enjoy like looking at the content, seeing behind the scenes. You know, it's not often you get to peek at how tech demos were done. So that's where we're at for that. So that'll be the Elemental tech demo, which you guys are getting in 4.1.
We've got a. We were aiming to get it out for today, but we've had a few last-minute hitches with it coming out. So there's a couple of engineers in rooms behind me who are frantically trying to fix our build system to get it out, and it should come out hopefully within the next week or so.
Oh, cool.
Hopefully.
Cool. And so just to touch on the next content things that are different. So we got two new templates. We have the flying template and the rolling template.
Yeah.
And so you guys access that by going into the file new project. And if you scroll down, you'll see that these are added now. There's the code rolling demo right here and the blueprint rolling demo, as well as you will see the, if I can find it, the flying one right here. Code flying and blueprint flying. Those are good fun. They help you get started on your games, so enjoy them. Alrighty. So that's that.
All right. So yeah, I was going to talk a little bit about what we're currently working on at the moment. The system that we have for like pushing out these releases, like we're already starting work on 4.2, and in fact, work on 4.2 has been going on for a while now, and we're going to branch our code base for the 4.2 release in about 10 days or something like that, I think. Lots of work to do before then. So there's a little bit of latency between what we're working on and when it's like checked by QA and like vetted, and like we make sure that we try and get rid of as many bugs so we have as clean a release as possible by the time it gets to you guys. But one thing that we're introducing with this release, and I think Mike has been working on just this morning, is setting up the live GitHub updates. So you can actually see a live stream of everything that we're checking into our Perforce depot here at Epic. Perforce, for those who don't know, is like another source control system that's like Git, but rather confusingly has completely different terminology for most of the things in it. So when I say we're branching for 4.1, for 4.2, we're forking for 4.2, I guess is the right way of saying it. So yes, so from today you should be able to see like anything that anybody at Epic is working on internally. We're also doing live updates for the branches as we release them. So anything that's going to go into hotfixes for our 4.1 release, you'll be able to like grab directly if you're using GitHub. And yeah, anything that's, for example, like the HTML5 stuff, a lot of that work in polishing that up has already gone into our main branch. So the experimental among you might want to try that out if you get a chance. Rather annoyingly, we found out that we noticed that a new version of the Emscripten SDK was released like 3 hours ago or something like that, which completely sort of steals all of our thunder. But people are working on that right now, and so maybe in a day or two we'll have that fixed up again as well. So what else can I talk about? So yeah, we're branching in a couple of weeks' time. We're currently aiming to do these on a sort of fairly regular monthly basis. This time around, I think there was an awful lot of stuff from. We had like a long run up until the 4.0 release, and so there was a lot of stuff that went on in our main branch before 4.1 came out. So I don't know whether there'll be quite as much next time, but we shall try and certainly work on. Like ironing out any problems that come through with this release. So cool. That's about what I've got on that.
All right, awesome.
So we're going to have a look at some
testing.
Of the
yeah, community spotlight.
Community spotlight, yeah. Okay.
All right, cool. All right, so. All right, so this is for each of our roads of winter. So I don't know, pretty amazing visuals, I think, right?
It's amazing,
so
yeah.
this is
Looks
UE4.
beautiful.
It's a project. It's very reminiscent of Mist in terms of it's kind of this eerie beauty, I guess. Really beautiful use of materials, and it has a lot of mood, you know, and texture, and especially the rocks and the water are beautiful. So beautiful visuals. So if you guys want to go, you have the website right here. Let me put that up there if you want to take a look at that and explore it on your own. There's also a Flickr account here with a ton more pictures if you guys want to kind of dive in deeper and see you know, more of the game in development. It's really stunning. It's beautiful. We don't want that.
Adverts of Flickr.
All right. So next one is we have the Star Trek Voyager Oculus demo, which is also pretty amazing. Got a movie of that here. It's a preview for you guys. If you don't have an Oculus, or if you haven't had the chance to look at it yourself, you could kind of see this video right here. It's pretty amazing.
Really close to the screen and kind of imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Have you tried out the Oculus?
Yeah, I have. It's amazing, especially the Crystal Cove version. The new version is a huge leap forward. So yeah, it's amazing.
I tried it out just before GDC, and a bunch of us were looking at the one of the demos that we were doing on that. And there was a glitch in it where at one point the camera just gets picked up and sort of like moved across the world at like 100 miles an hour or something like that. And when you're in VR, that is the most terrifying thing.
It is.
It was just hilarious.
Plus,
just watching
it's
people
nausea-inducing, I think.
Yeah, it really
so
is.
you got to make
really
sure
is.
your game has no hitches, because you're like going forward and then you hitch. You're like, oh, you feel weird. So.
Even things like head bob like put you off a little bit. But it was hilarious just watching like a stream of people going up and like trying out this demo, and they'd get to the bit with the glitch. You couldn't see what they were doing. Then all of a sudden they get to the bit with the glitch and they just start rolling around in their chair, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, this is a beautiful, beautiful demo. Super well done. So props for that. And this is a website you can, well, one of the websites that mention it, and you can find more info about, the process and all that stuff. So there you go. And then we got one more, which is Xing the Land Beyond. So this one is a really interesting project because there's actually comparison. They recently switched to UE4 from UE3. So the developers put comparisons right here for the differences in terms of visuals that they see between UE3 and UE4. So there's how they're able to now place text actors in the world so they can float in 3D like that. There's a ton of stuff, so it's worth clicking through, and it's good to see how someone else who's using UE4, who's kind of indie, is able to leverage like what we have now in UE4 as opposed to UE3. So there you go, UE3 on the left and UE4 on the right. See in terms of the visuals, and so yeah, I mean there's really a lot of amazing stuff coming out, and we're so excited. Everybody at the office always jumping on these new releases. Or these new games, and just want to test them out and see how the engine's being used. It's really exciting to see other people use it.
Yeah, once everything's out in the public, it's like incredible to see what people do with it.
Yeah, and this is going to be coming on the Oculus apparently as well. So Oculus is everywhere.
Wow, maybe Morpheus as well, the PS4 one.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, all great stuff. There's a lot more great stuff and to show, and we'll get a chance to do that in the other live streams.
Cool.
That's not it. There's a ton of stuff out there.
Wow, great. So shall we take questions?
Yeah, and we'd like to welcome Mike Fricker to the stream. He's going to jump in.
Hello, Mike Fricker.
Hello.
Hi, Mike. How are you? Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm bringing my laptop too because I'd like to see the chat while I'm here. Hey everyone. Cool. Yeah. So that was a great showing. I love the community content. The VR demo I actually spent on the weekend probably 15 minutes in that Star Trek vessel.
And there's cool sound effects too, right? There's like the voices and everything, which is awesome.
Just totally dorking out.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So hopefully you guys can hear me. So Ben was talking about the GitHub stuff, and I brought my GitHub T-shirt because I've been working on GitHub all morning, getting the live source stream up for you guys. And there's still more to do there. After I'm done this, I'm going to go back and get the snapshots up. So for main branch, so you guys have the latest in 4.1 branch, and you also have the latest in our main branch, which is just like the stuff that's like if Ben goes back to his desk and checks in, you guys will have it. So. But we need to get the dependencies up there for you guys so that you'll be able to compile and run it. So that's kind of the next step. And then we're going to figure out how to get those dependencies updated kind of regularly. It's still kind of TBD, but at least multiple times a week. So Ben and I are going to be working on that sometime soon. But at the least, I'm going to get a snapshot up tonight. But yeah, the live source stuff is really cool. I hope that you guys like it. I'm really excited to see the activity. It's pretty cool that you guys can just, I mean, it's fairly transparent now. You can see exactly what we're doing. There's a lot of cool features coming in 4.2. And I figured since you have access to the code already, I can talk about some of them just in like quick bullet point form, just so maybe whet your appetites. Assuming you've even had a chance to read the 4.1 release notes. But some of the cool stuff that's in there already is kind of like what I call ultimate blueprint copy and paste, which is just like really robust copy and paste between different graphs. You can copy and paste components.
That's awesome.
Everything's like super undoable.
Yeah, could
like,
use that.
It's just
now.
It's just it's a lot better.
It's great.
So
super powerful.
Yep, you can copy them to clipboard and paste them into whole other editors. We're going to have the camera animation system. So this will be a whole system where we can animate cameras in Matinee. Or we're using tools very similar to Matinee, basically curve editors and camera tracks. And you can export those to assets and reuse those assets all over the place. So there'll actually be a camera animation asset. This is a feature that we had in UE3, and we revived it. It somehow didn't make the transition over to UE4, but it was so useful. Everyone was clamoring to get it back, and Jeff Ferris has been working on that with his team to get that going. The other cool feature, there's two other cool Blueprint ones I want to mention. We have Blueprint function libraries coming, so you'll be able to have static functions just in an asset, just like a library of functions that you can reuse in all your blueprints in your project. That's going to be cool.
So you can pull those from all the blueprints, right? They're no longer bound to a specific blueprint.
Yep. In fact,
so amazing.
I'm hoping too, once we get in future builds, we're going to have better support for plugins, such that you can have content in plugins. And then you can imagine you can grab plugins from the marketplace or from your friends, and those can have Blueprint functional libraries. It's just like a bunch of utility functions and things that you can use in your blueprints, without having to go and copy and paste everything, right? So that's pretty cool. The other cool Blueprint feature is user-defined structs. So what this basically means is that you can create your own data structures yourself. In C++ land, this is sort of the equivalent of a ustruct. So you can define member variables and set their order correctly, and then access those, serialize them, all very similar stuff that you can do in C++. So that's going to be very powerful for making Blueprint games, I think. We have another feature, not related to Blueprints, canvas render targets. Basically, this is a C++ only feature right now that lets you take canvas rendered UI or anything that you want to do in 2D and draw that into a render target.
Yeah.
And then you can plaster that render target. I mean, it's just a render target texture, so you can jam that on just about anything that you UV map. So we'll have some examples probably of using it for in-world UI. But I mean, it's pretty flexible, so you could go and project anything onto.
You can project your interface like in 3D, right?
Yep.
In the world.
Yep, sure.
Yeah.
And that's something that in Slate and whatever else we do, we want to make sure that we have support for in-world stuff too with that.
Yeah.
A few other things, just a quick mention. We have a new FBX importer for 2014 edition. Along with that, we're adding support for obj importing, so you can import obj files. I believe we're looking to Collada files. I don't know if that's going to make the cut.
Yeah.
But
so actually, that was one of the questions in the forum, the FBX. So in 4.1, just to be clear, is 2013, but in FBX 4.2, we'll have 2014. You guys can already compile, I guess, on your own if you couldn't wait for the for like the 4.2, but
cool.
There you go. If you have to have it, otherwise it'll be in 4.2.
There's also in 4.2 we're going to have one of the first really kind of major community submissions by Stephen Whittle, who added a Fabric IK controller, which is kind of complements the two-bone IK.
We were talking about that earlier. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's like pretty cool. So
that's the kind of stuff like that we want to have like a bit of. We're talking about that. Like we want to have a bit more of the R&D work done by people put in. It doesn't have to be like super performant polish. It's just good to have some raw, innovative features in there that we could like kind of even internally like learn from and see how we can use them in our game. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited about seeing submissions like that to GitHub. I think that's really cool because, I mean, you guys are going to end up getting features even faster than we could deliver them.
Probably.
As long as we can keep up with all the submissions and review them.
Yeah.
But so far, it's been great. So thanks, Stephen Whittle, and thanks to everyone else who's also contributed code to us so far and sharing the code with the community, because that's, I don't know, like, I think that's just a really cool, powerful thing that we have going there. So want to keep that going. I think that's about it for the new stuff. But there's going to be a bunch of other things. This is just a quick list I made before I walked over here. We have another feature that Blueprint related that Nick Darnell is working on. I don't know if I don't think it'll be in 4.2, but I've seen it work and it's pretty cool. But it's basically like a Blueprint sharing system, so you can like just snapshot a blueprint by just dragging a box around it and just put that anywhere. Like it'll go to the interwebs, and then anyone else, you can just paste them a URL and they can pull it down into their blueprint. So it's like kind of like Pastebin for blueprint sharing, like just super fast snippet sharing, and it screenshots it. It's like really nice. So
it allows you to share blueprint networks also between different game like project sessions.
Yeah, just really easily. It's just really easy way to just share snippets. It's like you paste code, but now you can just paste like boxes full of nodes.
Because that'll happen. Like sometimes I'm working on a game and I have a blueprint functions and also blueprint code, and I want to reuse that, right? And because it's not code, it's like it was before kind of hard to share, you know. So if we can get like that'll be super powerful.
So I don't know when that's
great. You guys will love it. What?
Like taking those little blueprint recipes and stuff like that, and just being able to like give them to somebody else who's having trouble. Sounds like an amazing thing. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know when that will be. I think we're just trying to figure out how to host the server for it, but I think that's going to be pretty cool. And then another initiative, if you visit the GitHub and Engine Source forums, I think that Michael Nolan posted this either today or last night, but the beginnings of what we call Paper 2D, which is the code name for Unreal Engine 2D framework. Michael Nolan is one of our senior engineers here, and he worked on this project. He started as an Epic Friday project, and he'll probably talk. Hopefully, we'll get him on here at some point and talk a lot about this. But it's a pretty awesome little 2D UI system, and a lot of it was visible in the Rocket betas last year and also in the 4.0 as just a built-in engine plugin. But it had been in stasis for kind of many months as we worked on getting the release out. But we really wanted to go back and start on that and really sort of bring it to fruition. And we thought like a cool way to do it would be to open it up as kind of a community thing, right? Like if you're interested in helping with the 2D framework for Unreal Engine, and I think Michael Nolan's looking for help for that. I think that he has at least one sort of part-time recruit on it already that's going to be helping. So anyways, take a look at the forum post that is in the GitHub and Engine Source forum now, and just look for the Paper 2D, and you can kind of, if you're interested, get on there and at least send feedback or check out the work in progress, and it'll just be developed live, like in front of you guys, and we'll build whatever we all think is the right thing to build. We figured that'd be a fun way to do it. Trying to think if there's anything else cool going on. I think that's
yeah. There were on the forums. There were quite a few questions after that Lionhead post came out with the dynamic GI, the light propagation volume, and people asking if we're gonna, they know we have you may or you may not know that we are bringing in the Lionhead code that they submit to us, but a lot of people had questions about whether we're going to keep improving and keep that up to date. And I talked to some of the rendering guys, and it seems like, yes, we're actively updating as Lionhead puts new features, and we're contributing in our own way as well.
I think we're sort of trying it out internally and sort of seeing whether it sort of passes muster compared to everything else that we can do, right?
Yeah.
Like try and get sort of like in parallel, see if we can sort of see what the results are like.
So I did try it out. I've been trying it out for a while, and there's some really cool stuff in there. The emissive, if you guys had tried it out in the emissive materials, so generating light were not working. That should be fixed in 4.1. Right now, it's not. You have to change an INI file to be able to enable the LPVs, Ninja INI. But anyway, I'll let you guys find that. But I want to show you on the screen right here that there's, in case you're not aware of what's going on, this is the original post by Ben Woodhouse, who's the lead graphic programmer at Lionhead Studios, and this is the post that we were talking about that in the forums. You can see some of the before and after visuals on using the dynamic GI basically. So they're doing beautiful work. So
yeah, if you guys didn't catch Nick Penwarden and Martin Mitring's live stream talk 2 weeks ago, I thought they did a great job. They talked about light propagation volumes, and they also talked about kind of the philosophical approach that we're taking with the engine, and that like there's no one perfect way, one perfect lighting model. So I think like the way that they're gonna tackle this is we're gonna support as many really good, awesome lighting models as are reasonable to, right? And then you'll have sort of a buffet that you can choose from to get the most out of whatever platform and whatever type of game you're building. So that's kind of I think the approach that the graphics team is looking at. It's just all, of course, a matter of how much time we have to implement these different things. But with help from Ben Woodhouse, Lionhead, and other partners and the community, we're hoping it'd be great to have all sorts of different options for lighting models.
Yeah, and also on the forum, some people were asking whether Zvogi was coming back. Because they, like I mentioned, we used it on Elemental in the early days, and then we had ripped it out because, next gen didn't end up being as powerful as we had assumed. But this is basically decent, pretty similar of an implementation, and Lionhead's actually working on it. But maybe you want to answer that question. For the time being, I guess there's no plan for Zvogi to come back.
No, we're not bringing back Zvogi, not in its original form, at least. If it did come back, it'd be an opportunity to reboot it and do an even better job of it. But
and how about releasing? There were questions also about whether if we want to release the source for that.
The problem with that, we talked about it, but it's so intertangled with the rest of the UE4 as what it was back then. It would be quite a tremendous effort to bring it up to work in the current engine, and you guys don't want to use that version of the engine. The tools weren't ready back then. It was all
it was very early.
Yeah. So it was great for tech demos, and we have many partners and custom licensees back then who were, in the prototyping stages of their game, and that worked out fine. But there's no way we could bring that back very easily and just sit it on top of the current implementation. But if we put the code out there and people wanted to try to do that with many free cycles, maybe that'd be a cool thing. But we'll see. We'll keep talking about it. But so far, it's been wow, that's putting that old engine up there. No,
yeah,
that was GDC 2013, I believe. Or
it was 12.
2012 that we did that first showcase of Zvogi. So that's ancient as far as you guys saw the difference between 4.0 and 4.1. That's just that's a different version of the engine. That's completely different. So it just doesn't fit anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always think that's interesting. I think the LPVs, there's a really cool showcase of this if you grab, they mentioned Andrew Scheidecker's Brick game that you can get.
Yep.
But he has LPVs enabled by default, and that's pretty fun, but to see these used in kind of a Minecraft style environment, I think that's really cool. So, yeah.
Cool, so yeah, that was one of the questions.
Is there anything else on that? We had
nothing else that I have
on the list? Cool.
We got some questions.
Sure, yeah. Let's do some questions.
Oh no, your computer's gone to sleep.
It's okay.
You know what happened last time that happened?
Wiggle.
Do you guys have a prefab list or anything?
Vehicle support. I believe the guys are currently working on a sample for the 4.2 release that will have a lot more vehicle support. It's coming in a little bit hot, but they're working hard on it right now, so hopefully in 4.2.
Yep. Work on vehicles,
cool.
Vehicle template. I don't know if there's a sample game. I forget if we have one coming, but...
I think there is, because I was contacted about that, so yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I think there is. Yeah.
So yeah, there'll be a bunch of vehicle stuff. It's definitely a big important thing right now. Okay, we got the chat log up. So
Cool.
If you guys ask questions, we can at least see your text now.
Can we pull up Andrew's GitHub for Brick Game? People are wondering where they can find that.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's just github.com/Andrew Scheidegger. If you can spell it.
Gosh.
I think it's EI. I think it's EI.
Oh.
And then
C?
CK instead of no R though.
Oh yeah. All right, almost there.
Oh yeah, and you got to be logged in. Oh no, you actually shouldn't have to be B for this.
SCH?
SC.
It's a hard name. Come on.
Andrew.
There you go.
Oh, look at that handsome guy.
Brick game. You got the link right there.
There we go. All right, here we go. Got it on the screen right there. Look at that beauty.
It's pretty fun, actually.
Minecraft, but with dynamic GI.
Oh, did he update for 4.1 already? It looks like it. So this might be just freshly off the...
Yeah, I think he was explaining which version to use. Building the source code right here. So he needed 4.1, so you guys should be good to go now.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so definitely pretty fun. It's basically Minecraft in UE4 without any gameplay.
Yeah.
But it has cool lights and LPVs, sky system. and I think the code is just sort of free to. The license is very permissive that he released it under, so you can use it as a starting point if you want to.
Yep. So here you go.
Cool. Just looking for questions.
What else is there?
Well, you have a release editor on Steam. Oh, so Plastic Man asks, will you have a release editor on Steam, like you did with UDK?
So a Windows version, a Linux version, or just distributing it on Steam?
So with Steam, we did do UDK 3 available on there. It was kind of done in a little bit of a strange way, because UDK was kind of strange, right? Like, it didn't have a project system, so you basically made your project by sort of transforming either the UT3 example it came with.
I remember.
And
that was tough.
Yeah, so...
you start in that, like, that
yes.
that game mode, even though you don't want to do that game.
But no, we have no plans to distribute it on Steam so far. But we do want the process of direct integration for your games to be as slick and seamless as possible. It's absolutely super important. So, yeah, I mean, we know on Windows we have pretty darn good support for Steamworks right now, and the Mac stuff is a heavy work in progress still. But the initial bits are checked in; you can see them. So, and Linux, of course, we have SteamOS support already. But yeah, Steam super important to us. I don't think we'll put the editor up there. There's no plans for that. I don't really see much demand, but I'd love to know why you'd want it on there.
I see a comment about the particle work for Infiltrator demo. So Infiltrator, that's we had a lot of fun working on that. The engine was like coming along really nice. So we had the PBR and all that stuff. So there might be the Infiltrator demo coming towards you as content at some point. I don't know, can't promise anything, but we're definitely at least thinking about it. So I think you guys would get a kick out of looking at all those assets and how we did those things.
Cool. So,
yeah, I got one. This is Dana talking here. What are you guys doing to support large open worlds?
Oh, I was just going to pick that one. Good choice, Dana. Cool. So you guys may have noticed an experimental. We have something called World Browser. You enable it in the experimental options in your editor preferences. That's kind of like the beginnings of. We've been working on that like a year with a small team in Korea. But the idea with World Browser is that you can make kind of a large map or a large world that spans multiple sublevels, but they're all sort of spatially interconnected on a grid. So you can have a world that's just huge, just ginormous, and as you traverse it, the engine will sort of take care of doing the shifting around objects as necessary to make sure that you have maximum precision where the player is, and it will take care of streaming things in and streaming things out as you move around. The tool itself still isn't quite finished yet. We're actually working on it right now with the Korea guys in the tools team. The Korea guys is Epic Games Korea, by the way. It's just more engine programmers. We have engine programmers all over the world. So we're working on it. I was in a meeting just yesterday talking about it, so it's definitely important, and we'll just keep working on it and listening to feedback and keep making it better. It's not going to stop development anytime soon. It's still just be an ongoing project. As far as, I don't know if there's more specific questions about open world, but there's kind of more to it than just laying out your level spatially too. There's different types of open world games, and we always get different types of questions, like how can I asynchronously load like a compartmentalized character by itself, or how do I deal with a large world on a server, like a space game, or like a huge open terrain, that's like 60 kilometers long. Like that can be difficult unless unless you really, really plan out before you start diving and start building your game. So, yeah, we're interested. We basically want you to be able to build any game you want to be able to build. So that's kind of the goal. But there's different approaches to take already. And tools like World Browser should make it at least easy for you to lay out a huge world. And then depending on your exact needs for multiplayer and for like the type of biome you have, or as full 3D like Descent, or whether it's a huge sprawling MMO landscape, like there's different solutions out there because we've talked with dozens and dozens of people about it. So, anyways,
cool. I saw a question asking whether the vector field tools will be available in engine for doing generating particle vector fields. So, a bit of a backstory on that. The current Maya scripts so you have to generate those vector fields in Maya and export them using script. Those were all kind of like a proof of concept that I actually wrote, but they end up being used enough that we kind of release them with the engine. But there's definitely we definitely want to implement that in the engine so that you could either have a 2D sim that would do collisions based on level geometry and then save out velocity grid. We want to do dynamic velocity grids, and we want to have all that editing in the engine. So it will be coming. We don't have a timeline for that yet, but we are absolutely aware that it will be a very powerful feature.
People are asking about UI, the state of Slate, and we had talked a little bit on previous streams about UMG. So why don't we just kind of give them a state of the union on that?
I don't know an awful lot about it, but I know that work has in earnest started on it. It is not going to be ready anytime soon. I think it's like a few releases out.
It's probably
at least, but
like 6 it's pretty far out. Like, so since you guys have access to the latest code, so you can actually see Nick Darnell and the tools team, Matt Kay, Nick Adamus. We started work on UMG already. It's just there's not much to say about it because it's just so early. And if you even tried to load it up right now, it'd just be like, what is this? And then it will undergo several transformations before it's ready to turn on. And even well before it gets close to then, we'll have it in front of the community's eyes to help us get feedback on it. But yeah, UMG is kind of our interactive UI editor. I think the plan is to make it based off Slate, so the underpinnings will still be Slate, but you won't need to know any Slate to use it. That's kind of the goal.
As I understand it from like the quick demo I saw this morning was like all Slate objects are sort of wrapped in something like U objects, and so you can interact with them as you do normal assets. And it works like the blueprint editor, except in your scene view, you view a 2D like UI design. So you can do all the plumbing and all the logic and stuff like that through blueprints, and it has all the same advantages of working with C++ and interop and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. So we'll see how it ends up. That's kind of like maybe a current. It's not
your freaking mic show.
We changed stuff so much, but I think the most important thing is that we really care about delivering tools that will empower artists to be able to create UIs and improve the iteration times as fast as possible. So UMG is going to be a big project, big focus for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
The freaking mic show. Dynamic velocity grid, fluid sims. I saw a question. Fluid sims, all that stuff, absolutely, as FX and tech art geeks, we want all that stuff, so we're going to work as hard as we can to get that stuff in as soon as we can. Promise.
Oh, someone just asked about dedicated servers. If you grab the GitHub build, you can compile a dedicated server already. Your game just needs a server target file in it. As perhaps we probably need some better documentation about this.
Yes, but you can. We include that in the sample, and as long as you build your game against the GitHub release, then you can just pick like server as one of the platform targets.
So all you guys with the source code, you have total ability to make a client only, a server only, which is like a dedicated server, or you can make just a game binary, which is a server and a client, basically, right? It's a listen server. So you have all those powers already. The reason that right now we require the GitHub build to do that is because we didn't want to have like an explosion of the number of types of static libraries we'd have to ship. Basically, we didn't want the download to be just super huge with the launcher.
It's big enough already, right?
It's big enough already. And Ben and I talk about this all the time, how we need to get smaller. We want the footprint really small. So that's a big focus too, and it will get smaller, I promise you. But anyway, so for now, use the GitHub version. You can compile a dedicated server. Take a look at the shooter game sample in 4.1. It includes an example target file. And if you load shooter game in 4.1 up in your GitHub compiled editor, you should be able to select server from the configuration dropdown.
If you compile it from Visual Studio.
Yep. In Visual Studio or Xcode, you can choose, is it game server or just server?
I think it's just
server. Yep. So then you compile your dedicated.
Yeah. Like development server.
Cool.
There's a question about whether Elemental will compile for PS4.
Yeah.
It should, right?
It's content only.
Oh yeah, I guess,
It doesn't need to compile.
Yeah.
Elemental has no code, so it's just content. It's just a content and beautiful cutscene. So yeah, it'll work on.
Wow.
Cool.
I think player limits, it really depends on the infrastructure you have in place.
Yeah. I see questions about the launcher, but we're probably not the right group to ask about that. But the launcher team is definitely working on and making the launcher, addressing the feedback as fast as they can. Cool.
Cool. Let's see.
Any other questions for us?
Is there an option to uninstall like old versions from the launcher?
Yeah,
I think there is.
Yeah, the button appeared. If you have the latest launcher, there's an uninstall button right on the main page. You just choose the version you want to install and then uninstall. Actually, like that's one of the things that would be great to get feedback on in the forums. We made the decision kind of just to try it out to make the launcher default to installing side by side rather than clobbering your own build. So you have 4.1 and 4.0 side by side. You can obviously uninstall 4.0 when you don't need it. Maybe you don't need it right away. You could just uninstall it. But just keep that in mind. By default, we install side by side to make sure that your projects that you open will still be compatible, because we tend to change a lot of stuff and we can break your projects on you. We want to make sure you can still open your projects. We're going to try not to break things. That's going to be a focus as we learn how to be even more backwards compatible. But this is a sprawling, huge C++ engine with kind of a very wide surface area of an API. So we break stuff all the time, as much as we loathe it. So we're still kind of working out the best release strategy to make sure that you guys are protected from that as long as you need to be. So it'd be good to get your feedback on.
Mike Ben-Francois, what would you like to see added?
Aside from, oh, like what features to the engine would we like to see added? Oh my gosh, I have like a million things.
Where does it start?
Well, my pet peeve at the moment is just compile times. I want at the moment, like compiling the whole engine is just so slow.
Yep.
I really want to work on that.
Yep.
At some point soon.
Yeah, and I want that awesome dynamic GI, which we're slowly getting from Lionhead, which is awesome. We're going to rework on the whole particle infrastructure. Is going to be modernized, so that's awesome too.
Yeah, for me, I'd like to see the new sequencer tool be finished. We have a prototype in the engine now that's disabled, but when we get back to work on that, it's going to be awesome. It's a whole new cinematics editing tool.
And so that we can work collaboratively.
Yep.
Which
That's
is very important. Because right now, Matinee kind of, if you're working on the Matinee map, you're kind of locked out. You're the only one that can work. And we want to make sure that it's collaborative so that people can work in the Matinee or the sequencer, as it'll be called, and put effects or character animation while the editor is working there as well.
Oh, and I know Paul Megan's in the room. I know exactly what Paul Megan would say as far as what feature he wants in Unreal, and that's the most badass procedural content tools on the planet.
Yeah.
Huge, voxelized world, super juicy, deformable
so
terrain.
You make games almost for free then, right?
Yeah, destructible, fully destructible everything.
Yes.
Yep, physics everywhere.
We're working on that.
Yeah, the office we're in actually is Paul and Tim are in here with Dana and us, so it's funny. Cool.
No mobile ads.
Any more questions, Dana?
So, yeah, we got one on box-like or cylinder collision for characters. This is crucial for platformers. Do we know anything?
We have capsule collision
We have
now.
capsules for sure, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would have to post that on the forum.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that one, actually.
I'll
We'll
look
follow
into
up
it
on the
and get
forum.
back to you guys. Voxels, yeah.
What was the substance? I see +1 for substance, but I didn't see what it was. Are you guys just looking for an algorithmic?
If you want, you can
Oh, yeah, there you
cover the plugins that have been released so far, and the ones that we know are coming.
The plugins that have been released so far, like Coherent UI.
Yep.
I don't know if the substance plugin is out.
Yeah.
It is out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Someone had a question about it. I was trying to scroll back to see it, but
Yeah.
this thing keeps scrolling down.
And you guys, the marketplace is coming as fast as possible, right? People want to know when they can put their plugins on the marketplace.
Yep. Yeah.
I think it's one of the top priorities.
We're figuring out, yeah, we're doing as fast as we can. So, yeah, I mean, expanding the marketplace and getting more stuff on there, more free stuff for you guys, adding more features to it. It's just coming month after month.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know if you guys will have an answer for this, but are there any plans for enabling animation retargeting on different skeletons?
Oh gosh, I don't know about that one.
Yeah,
That
we should probably drag in Jeremy or.
Do you know about that one?
Sorry?
Animation retargeting for cross skeletons. Laurent would know this.
I don't know. I haven't done that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Talk to you now. I saw something about beam particles being broken in stereoscopic rendering. Please file an engine request or a bug. I'll take a look at it because I was not aware of that. So, thank you.
You know that? Vertex snapping?
Oh, no, I'm not sure. So there's a question about BSP, vertex snapping. Not sure if that one... I need a more context about it.
I think there was a code submission on GitHub.
Someone was asking about input system abstractions for dealing with kind of gestural input, or VR stuff, 6 degree of freedom, track IR, connect, all these things that we love all this stuff. So there has been already some, Stephen Whittle and one of our community contributors, and I know Nick Whiting, who here is kind of our lead VR programmer, and Mark Audie, who is our input system owner, they've all been talking about this stuff. So I think that's very important. We totally want to have support, clean support across devices for all these cool, fancy motion controllers. And some foundational stuff is there, like you guys have probably noticed, but we want it super pluggable. Yeah, that'll come. It'll just come naturally. If I had time to work on that, I would, because I love track. I play flight sims, use Oculus VR and track IR all the time. So I would totally do that myself.
So
if we
answer
could.
a quick question. LPV emissive lighting works in 4.1. It's been fixed. So what you guys download it'll be fixed. Just make sure you plug in a non-zero value in the base color, as well as and then your emissive value in the emissive color, and it'll work for you. I tested it this morning.
In editor, Git support is kind of an interesting one. I'm sure anybody who's used GitHub is sort of kind of curious as to the way that we're currently running things, because we use Perforce as a source control system internally, but we're pushing everything out to GitHub. And it's kind of weird now, especially we have the live syncing, that we're constantly pushing everything to GitHub. And we're taking stuff back from the community from GitHub into Perforce and then pushing it back again. So the main thing that stops us from just using GitHub, and the reason that it's not sort of particularly suitable for games, I think, is just the large amount of binary content you usually have in games. GitHub is designed to work sort of like you have an entire copy of the repository locally, right, with all history and stuff like that. And so when you have a huge amount of binary content, it's very unwieldy to work with.
Yeah, I think it's probably fine for at least small to medium. Once you're over a few gigs, it's probably a big problem. But I totally would have no hesitation about recommending using GitHub for your small projects to collaborate between team members, and that's where the editor plugin thing would come in, right? So the editor plugin, right now, you can't commit to Git from the editor. We only support Perforce and Subversion. We had a meeting just not even a week ago with the tools team about how to prioritize Git plugin support, and we're thinking, it probably should be done pretty soon. And we also have, we've also been interested in supporting Dropbox, as we've seen from you guys, that being a super convenient way to collaborate between your teams, especially when it's just 2 people or 3 people. Dropbox is pretty good. I mean, it doesn't have exclusive checkout, so you got to be careful with it, but it's totally something we could support. So basically, we're going to add it. If you guys don't get to it first, we'll add both of those for sure. So it's on the roadmap.
I saw a fun question that's a bit, oh, there you go. I'm going to say I have a funny question about the hardware that we're using. So everybody kind of uses different hardware at Epic. The artist on my side I use is HP Z820. And I'm spoiled, I have a Titan in there. Since we do quite a bit of R&D on the rendering side, so we try to get the most powerful things. So people have different hardwares and quite a bit of memory as well. So we're well taken care of, and dual proc as well, of course.
Yeah, we're still on Windows 7 though.
Yes, which is kind of good, I think. I don't know.
I don't have a problem with the new one.
Just can you imagine going through the tile thing to
It has a very contentious upgrade in Windows 8, but
yeah, maybe 8.2.
It's totally fine.
The start menu's coming back 8.2.
I think the laptop here is going to run out of batteries in a second. So get your questions in now before we can't see them.
I'm about light leaking on dynamic objects with directional light. Is that regarding that dynamic GI, I imagine? And there is a setting in the LPVs to kind of fill out the voxel that your geometry is in to prevent light leaking. So you could try, can't recall the name of the parameter, but you have to create a post-process volume around the area you want unbound for the dynamic GI. And if you look under light propagation, I think it is, you'll find different parameters in there. So take a look at that.
Someone asked about snapping in the components editor, and I believe that is planned. If it's not being worked on right now, that's also pretty important to us. So we actually want to, the goal with the blueprint editing and any other kind of sub-editor that has its own kind of viewport is to unify the workflows with the level editor viewport as much as possible. Same controls, same features. If I alt drag something in components editor, I expect it to duplicate like it would in the level viewport. We really want to unify those. We've made a lot of efforts over the past year to do that, and there's just more. Well, it'll just be a constant thing to get them unified. So yeah, we'll get those features in there eventually. Someone asked, will behavior trees get some loves? Yes, we're working on. That's actually one of the things. If we can get that in for 4.2 in a more polished state, we will. So yeah, we're working on behavior trees a lot, and hope to get that to you guys. My guess is that it will become around 4.3, but it's super important.
Cool.
Yeah, I realize now, like in the editor, we have the section called experimental, where you can turn on some of these features, but it's kind of a bad name because some of these features aren't experimental. Things like behavior trees or world browser aren't experimental. They're just work in progress. They're just unfinished, and the UI is really just a convenient way to turn them on. In retrospect, we probably should have had a separate section for just things that we might not keep at all versus things that are just not quite done, but you might want to mess with them. Cool.
Cool. Emissive light materials and light mass. We use deferred lighting, so we'd have to check in with the rendering guys. I don't think we have any plans right now. Oh, they keep asking about dynamic lights on Android.
Dynamic lights on Android?
And dynamic GI.
I don't know on Android what or why they don't work, actually. I have to check. We'd have to check with the graphics guys. I figured that you could... I'll have to check with them. I'm actually not sure.
So guys, file a question again on UDN if you want to.
I was sort of expecting them to work, so
we can keep
probably
track.
with you.
I expect in 10 months' time we'll have Unreal 4.10.
We will release the
Because of that.
Infiltrator demo. At least that's what we're thinking about. We don't know yet which version it is, so we can't promise anything at this point.
Someone's asking for more project templates. I think that we will just keep making templates as long as you guys can come up with cool ideas for them. And of course, we'd love to see you guys create templates too, right? And if there's things that we can do to help you guys do that, then that's something that we want to learn how to do as well. So I think we'll be talking more about that in the future.
We're having questions from someone whose login name is Unity 2000. SpeedTree, I don't know about SpeedTree.
I know they said it's coming.
Yeah,
it's coming.
Posting, yeah.
Okay, because that's what I heard as well. I just haven't used it personally or tried to use it.
Yep, they have the code. They've been working on it, and I just don't know when. I think it's just a matter of them being able to package it up in a releasable way.
Yeah. And they asked about Mixamo, and yeah, that's coming as well.
Mixamo is coming as well. Cool. Yeah, because SpeedTree certainly works with UE4. We have an integration that works. I think that they just need their more modular integration. So, yeah, it won't be long, I'm sure. Racing game template, I think maybe that will be coming.
I think there's something coming like that, yeah.
I think it is, yeah.
There's someone asked about Scaleform. Scaleform has an integration. I don't know their plans to make it publicly. So it's available to licensees. If you contact Scaleform, I'm sure you can get it. I don't know what state it is because I haven't seen it myself with my own eyes, but I know that licensees have had success using it, so it's there if you want it. Of course, we have the Coherent UI, which is available on their website as an option that's HTML5 based, that has some similarities there. Yeah.
Blueprints converted to C++. I don't think so.
Michael Nolan worked on, at one point, he actually had a cool kind of C++ backend for Blueprints. So Blueprints compile to bytecode and get executed rather quickly in C++, but he actually had for diagnostics, and there's code in the engine right now that you can see for this, that if you enabled by turning on the code, they can actually emit blueprints to something that looks like C++, but doesn't quite compile, probably doesn't compile by a long shot, but the idea is that you can at least read it. And for us, that was really useful while we were getting the whole language up, to kind of see what it was doing in the way that we would read it while writing code. So there is a backend for C++, and who knows, maybe long term that could be an option. There's certainly nothing that would rule it out in our design for blueprints, and I've certainly heard rumblings about maybe that being the right approach for something like animation graphs, just because to get that extra performance out of there. So hopefully there's more about that in the next while, but I don't know of anything immediately on the roadmap about it. So maybe check out the code and mess around with it and see. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Cool.
We can probably wrap it up.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
Dana says we can wrap it up, I guess. I guess are we at? Cool.
All right. Yeah, I'm good.
There was one last question
Oh,
about Project Soul, and I would just like to know that we'll
Yeah.
see more on that again too.
Right. So, the Soul demo. Yeah, we showed that at our booth at GDC this year.
Yeah. It's a mobile demo.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
those
it's
of
an
you who
awesome,
don't know, it's a mobile demo.
yeah, very awesome mobile focused demo. Also, I believe, great browser demo.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that, of course, we want to get it to you guys when the time is right. Stay tuned. I think you'll hear more about it.
Yep. All right. It was.
Great.
See you guys. Thank you for
right.
all the questions.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thanks,
Cheers.
everyone.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.